Hey, welcome to Northwest Georgia football, man. We're joined here today by Coach Jeremy Green, head coach of Armuchee Indians, entering your fourth season. Fifth season with the Indians. You know, for everybody that's new to the area that hasn't followed the show in the last year, Coach Green was diagnosed with throat cancer last year at the very end of the season. And one of the most common questions I get from people is, how's he doing? So we'll hear it straight from him.
I'm doing well. I've got a couple of clean bills of health, and I was telling somebody else earlier this morning, I feel like there's sort of like, plateaus where I kind of feel, like I'm not getting better, and then I'll jump up and feel better, and I feel like that's where I am right now. Over this, past couple of weeks, I feel like I've jumped up and feel like I've reached a new level, and things like chemo fog and all that, that's a real that's a real thing. And
yeah, I know I talked to you quite a bit when you were going through the procedure, man. It sounded rough, I mean, the mask,
I wouldn't worship, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It was it was rough, but overall, I mean, it was I try to think of it as like a blessing, because I feel like hopefully it'll make me a better husband, better daddy, better football coach, better teacher. I have more empathy, better able to understand other people, and I guess if you hurt a little bit, you understand when other people are hurting. And you understand, try to understand why people are doing things, or understand why they're going through things. I had a lot of time to reflect. You spend 3 months. Pretty much 3 months on the couch. And I've made this joke 100 times, but if you want to lose a lot of weight and get everybody to be nice to you, a little cancer will do it every time.
I guess the reason we're here is football, so we'll talk a little football. You guys are coming off your best season in since 2012. You had 5 wins last year. What are the fans here in Armuchee had to look forward to in 2022?
Well, I hope that they have that they get to look forward to a football team that plays hard and is well coached, and does what they're asked to do, and is tough, and hopefully a football team that has fun and loves each other. And that's our core values. We kind of molded our core values a little bit to adjusted them to some things that I learned going through what I've learned. So our 3 values are going to be core values are do what you know is right, love your teammates, and have fun. And I hope that's what our fans see. That's what I want to look forward to, is that we live up to those 3 tenets.
Yeah, today is the first actual official day of practice, right?
Yeah.
The acclimation day.
Yeah. Can
you explain to the fans out there what acclimation day is? I get that question a lot.
Yeah. So acclimation, the week of acclimation is a safety measure that the GHSA implemented to try to make sure that kids, that there's no heat sickness or heat-related deaths. There was probably a time where kids were going maybe straight from the air conditioning to football practice, and they limit the time that you can be out there, and it's just sort of a honeymoon period, I guess. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So that you're not going from doing nothing to full-blown 2.5-hour practices and pad. And what I told our players is spring football, you're dating. Summer workouts and things, you're engaged. Acclimation week, you're married. If you're not here this week, you're not on the football team. Like that's just the way it is. We're putting on the ring this week. That's saying vows.
That's it, huh?
Yeah.
How many people did y'all have show up this year?
Right now on the roster, active folks that took part in spring, and been here in summer, 64.
That's pretty good number compared to the past few years, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's about 500 9 through 12, so I mean that's usually they say about 10% of your school, so I mean that's above that number, so that's good.
What spots are you looking to replace this year mainly? I mean, I know you guys lost a lot of skill positions.
Yeah. I mean, we lost our top 4 receivers. Cameron Parker, J.J. House, Malik Drenick, Will Daniel, then, you know, top 2 running backs, Alex Wright, Austin Stacy. You know, so offensive skill positions is big.
Yeah. I was talking to you before, you know, before we got on camera, you know, you only got 5 seniors this year. But what, 27 kids in that 2024 class?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, so I'm sure you guys are counting on those kids to step up this summer. Just
yeah, no doubt.
mature.
So we got, you know, think about it, we got 64. They're going, you know, with 5 seniors, so, you know, 59 kids out of those other 3 classes. You know, so.
Do you have any special feelings about moving down to 7A? I mean, does it matter to you where you play or who you play against, or
No, you know,
you show up and play on Friday nights?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have any control over that, so, you know, we just, you know, coach's cliche, whoever's on schedule, you know, we play whoever it is.
What kind of stuff do you have? What kind of stuff do you do outside the season, and when you're not coaching football? It takes up so much of your time.
Yeah.
During those 6 months a year, what do you like to do? What do you have going on?
Well, I'm a big believer that football takes so much time that you can't have a whole lot of hobbies as a football coach. You got to have a lot of family time. So I try to stay at home, or I try to go do things with my family. I do love fishing. I try to do a lot of fishing with, you know, I like to go fishing with our coaches, you know, and I've got a good friend of mine who's a basketball coach over in Alabama. Me and Coach Powell, Coach Rice, Coach Puckett, we go fishing. Our good buddy Coach Witt would go. I go with my brother Jesse a lot, you know. But you know, that's 10 or 12 times a year. But mostly I try to spend a lot of time with my family, because you know, you don't work every day. You know, for 6 months you kind of you know, a 3/4 time guy, but for 6 months you're 100%.
Right.
So
I can imagine. And, you know, I see you on Twitter, you know, when you're fishing, you know.
yeah.
I've been asked, can you tell us the honey hole, man? I see you pulling these fish out all the time.
Yeah. No, and that's I can't, because Coach Powell made us a promise. Coach Powell talks about Bradshaw and people, and that comes from Duck Dynasty, where Phil, the dad off of Duck Dynasty,
Right.
played college football with Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Terry Bradshaw asked him to take him fishing, and he blindfolded him and took him fishing one day. So that's called getting Bradshaw. So you can't tell them where, and you can't tell them how. So that's the rule.
I mean, is there anything else you want to get out to the fans? I know you guys have Meet the Tribe coming up pretty soon.
Yeah.
You guys gonna be selling some Boston butts out here, right?
Yes, yeah. You know, Meet the Tribe is real special. You know, we'll start cooking Boston butts on August 5th and August 6th at 7. We'll introduce everybody to all the fall sports teams and our band and our cheerleaders. And you know, please come out to that. That's just a celebration. You know, that's good old-fashioned Mayberry type stuff where everybody gets together. You know, I think at the peak we've had around 1,000 people, and I know that because, you know, there's been, you know, a couple hundred kids on the track, and there's been standing room only on the home visitors, on the home side, and I know how many people the home side holds, you know. But the other thing I would just say is, you know, find a way to support kids in high school athletics, arts, performance, whatever, because, you know, people gripe about kids all the time nowadays. They talk about kids these days. I think that's bull. I think you see that. Turn off, you know, the 24-hour news that talks about that stuff. You know, watch some of that social media stuff gripes about kids all the time. A lot of that's just not true. I don't see that. If you work in this line of work, and you don't see it where you,
I don't see it.
You know, that's like a small percentage, and they get all the press. Kids today, they're non-stop. A lot of my guys, they show up here and they're with us for 3.5 hours, and then they go work for landscaping companies, you know, for 7 or 8 hours, then they go home.
Yeah.
You know, we got kids that go to school all day, and then they go to football practice, and then they'll go pick up 3 or 4 hours at a fast food restaurant, or a couple hours with a landscaping company,
Right.
or something like that. So that's what I'm getting at is you know, go support these kids, because they're special. And if you just listen to the noise out there, you won't understand it. But if you want your spirits uplifted, go watch them in action. Go be around them.
Absolutely, I agree.
Go
100%.
be around them.
That kind of leads to the last question, man. What is one piece of advice you would give to a new coach starting out in the field? It's something that's helped you through these years.
Okay. Well, the first thing I'll say is I'm going to give a piece of advice that I wish I had understood better. You know, this isn't something that I was a great example of, but is, you know, some of the coaches I work for, if they see this, they'll probably be shaking their head. Yes, you know, talk less and work more. I can hear them laughing right now. You know, don't walk in the door and think you have a title or think that you're special. Like, you know, that's one thing I kind of see with young guys today is, like, I'll have guys message me and they're like, you know, they've been working for 2 years and they don't even have a degree, and they're like, you need a so-and-so coordinator. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? You know, how many loads of laundry have you done? How much sand have you thrown? You know,
it's just that age, I think. You know, it's just that age group. It's just,
you know, how many hours on a Sunday are you willing to work? You know, but that's the biggest thing is how hard are you willing to work? How much are you willing to learn? You know, are you going to love kids? And are you going to try to win Twitter, or are you going to try to win kids? Right. You know, and that's being a football coach is a down and dirty. It's an industry. It's a job, and it's work. It's not a you're not an influencer. Now I do all that and everything like that, but I'm trying to promote our kids and our program. You know, but be a worker. You know, treat it like you're going to work in the mill. Treat it like you're going to work in the factory, and try to learn as much as you can. And you know, I remember going down to Hodges Line Camp, and you know, people, you know, kind of making fun of me because I walked around with a notepad taking notes on all the drills. But you know what? It helped me get a job.
Yeah.
Helped me get a job. You know, I went and interviewed with a guy, and he's like, I remember you from Hodges Line Camp. You were the one that walked around with a yellow notepad. You know, I was 24 years old right out of college. You know, and so you know, that's the kind of thing. It's work, and it's not glory and treat it like work. That's what I'd say.
What do you think is the hardest thing about being head coach? What's the hardest?
Is coming to the understanding that people are never going to understand you, and you know, I think, you know, Nick Saban said, if you want to make everybody happy, don't go into leadership, sell ice cream. You know, you know, people are never going to understand. A lot of times, not some people will, but for the most part, people are not always going to understand your intentions. They're going to understand your results. You know, they may not understand. You know, this is especially in the age of TV with you know, especially like the way college football is now. You know, like people apply that to high school football.
Right.
You know, they don't think of it as like a men building business. You know.
Right.
And so, just being able to block all that out and not care about all of that. You know, you can't get caught up in all that.
You gotta have tough skin for sure.
Yes.
Friday nights and every other night of the week.
Yes, and you know, and I'm not comparing what we do to this line of work, but it's kind of like being a politician or a police officer, or you know, maybe like a minister or something like that, where you just have to do your work. You have to do your job with the right heart, to the best of your ability, and help people, even if, you know, it's kind of like being a veterinarian sometimes. Like you're trying your best to help, and they're just biting and clawing. Yeah. They're biting the pee out of you. You're like, listen, I'm trying to help. But a lot of times, you have to be patient and just wait. It's kind of like farming too. Wait later, you know.
Right. You plant the seeds.
Yes.
Months down the road, you get the result. Hopefully, the sun doesn't come out and dry everything up.
Yeah.
Too much
Years
rain.
later.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's years later, and you know, so playing the long game as a coach, that's, you know, part of it. Another, you know, a harder thing to do is you ain't gonna you know, have a parade, but you might. But 10 years from now, a kid might say, "Hey, listen, I was facing this issue, and I thought about something you told me, and it made a difference." You know.
In my opinion, that probably means more to you winning a football game, right? Having some kids
Absolutely.
come, yeah.
Absolutely. What's it matter? You know, what's it matter if you win if you did absolutely nothing? You know, like you're talking about, you know, we won some ball games last year, you know, we didn't meet all of our goals, but, you know, those 9 seniors, what if none of those 9 seniors grow up to be decent human beings? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What if we'd gone 0-9 and all 9 of them grew up to be good men and good husbands? You know, the world judges those two things totally differently.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
But, you know, whenever I'm old and about to leave, I'll be, you know, this world, I'll be thinking about one and not the other. You know, so I try to keep that in perspective. It ain't always easy. It ain't easy on the sideline on Friday night. You know, my goal is to be able to do both.
Right.
You know, that's the ultimate goal. Is you want to win and produce, you know, good people. That's what you want to try to do.
Well, Jeremy, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, man, and look forward to talking to you again this year. And
Yeah, man.
we'll come back and talk to you in the playoffs.
I hope so. Yeah.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
All right, no problem.